Welcome to Crafts and Minis. It's so good to have you here today. I've been doing that hashtag hobby streak this last week, doing the challenge of just a little bit in the hobby every day, posting a picture to Twitter every day, showing off what I've been able to do in this last week on YouTube. And I've just gotten after this again, started a new streak. Feeling the momentum, feeling the flow, feeling good. Was able to paint 57 miniatures this week. Kind of. I'll explain the kind of in just a second, but I wanted to show you what I was able to do and just a little bit in the hobby every day. Some days obviously way more productive than others. Some days I was just getting like a wash or just a little bit of paint on one or two miniatures. Other days I was painting a whole batch of a dozen guys or more. And it's a lot of fun. So today I wanted to show off what I was able to do. And I think I'll start in the back with the Beastmen. So I was able to paint up 10 more of this pose of Beastmen. And these were, you can tell, these were super quick and dirty. And I was able to get these done really quickly. And I was trying to match 4 I had done before of this exact pose. So now I have 14 of this pose, and I had painted those years ago of those other 4, and I'm really happy with what I was able to do. I was also able to paint up 2 Beastmen Bray Shamans, if you're familiar with the Warhammer world. But these are just the wizards, the magic users for the Beastmen. And I was able to paint these up really quickly as well. Gave this one a little flash and more color. And they are metal miniatures, these 2 Bray Shamans. But they were able to paint up relatively quickly as well, which was really fun. I'm doing a whole Beastmen contingency for Shadowdark. So I go in my waves of different games and all this. I haven't actually played Shadowdark yet, but I've read the rules. I really like them. I'm converting over the Warhammer setting of the old world for Shadowdark. So I've already been working on my own bestiary and converting over the stats for miniatures. All these miniatures you see before you, I have stats for Shadowdark. And I'm having a lot of fun just doing that. Hopefully get a group together sometime soon and start playing in that universe. And it's going to be a lot of fun. In addition to the Beastmen, I also pinned up 12 orcs. Now these orcs are a lot of fun. These I've had for years. They're old plastic orcs from Games Workshop. And I was really proud of these because I did a little batch painting, so it went together relatively quickly. But you'll see there's more color on these than on the Beastmen. And I was able to do something fun with these. Whoop. Whoop. Sorry, little extra whoops for you today. Able to do something fun with these, which was do some freehand on the shields. So you'll see all the shields got this freehand, and I'm calling these the Tribe of the Angry Flame. So that's supposed to be fire. You can tell better on some than on others. Like I think this was one of the first ones I did when my hand was not as tired and I was just more careful. But the Tribe of the Angry Flame. And so these are like orc raiders that set fire to stuff, which is a lot of fun. So I've got some orcs. I've got some orcs coming from Age of Sigmar, the game Age of Sigmar, the bigger orcs, the orcs. And they're coming to be like the more advanced brutes in the setting. They're going to be bigger, like in the lore, there's black orcs, which are bigger. And so that's what I'm going to call them. And they're coming over from the UK off of eBay, so I haven't gotten those yet, but I'm excited because I got one on a big wyvern. That's just enormous. If you know the Age of Sigmar, big old fat wyvern that one of the orcs is riding on, the big boss is riding on. So I'm really excited about that to add to these guys. And I've got 24 more, 12 archers, 12 with two-handed weapons ready to prime today. So I'll probably have those done for next week, hopefully. And then I've got like 40 goblins that are also going to go with these guys. And I've got some trolls coming. I got more stuff. But, you know, it's better to be prepared and have what you need than not have what you need when you're playing. And I love playing with miniatures, of course. That's my deal. I love the minis. I'm stuck on the minis. And I know some people don't have the minis or don't enjoy playing with the minis, or it ruins your imagination or whatever. But to each his own when it comes to gaming that way. I really enjoy the minis. So those are my orcs. Now, I was able to paint up also a bunch of folk rabble from Fireforge games. So Fireforge does historical miniatures, but they also do their Forgotten Worlds, I believe it's called, setting. And in the Forgotten Worlds setting, they put out these folk rabble, which are just a bunch of peasants, and I armed them all with just one-handed weapons. Oh, yeah, that one, the face isn't as detailed because I got a little too much primer on it. That happens once in a while when you're getting a little too close with your priming. If you're priming with a spray can, it can obscure some of the details, especially on the face of miniatures, so you got to watch that. And these went together super quick, fast and dirty. You know how I do. And they worked out really well just for a bunch of folk rabble. So these can be just peasants that are uprising. They could be bandits. If you wanted them to serve as bandits, that'd be great. I've got a dozen of them, so they're pretty versatile in what I can use them for. I could have them be like the crew of a village that is out to help the PCs, or I could have them, be just NPCs that could go one way or the other when it comes to helping the PCs, whatever. So those are just kind of fun to have. Also, I had these whiz kids, you can tell on the bottom, dire wolves. And so I have two of these that I painted up, fast and dirty. And so I've had these forever. I was using those in a campaign. I forget if I had a druid that could turn into them, or if I could call on two of them or whatever, but I had two of them lying around all primed and ready to go. So those got painted up. In the last number of years, even though I haven't been posting videos, I have been going still to Gen Con every year, except for this year. First time in a long time I haven't gone, but I went to Origins in Columbus, Ohio instead, and that was a lot of fun. But one thing I liked about Gen Con, of course, was the speed painting competitions. And these three miniatures here are all three from speed painting competitions that I did at Gen Con over the years. And I had them already painted, but I did a wash on them and rebased them to be on my circle bases, because they had these integral bases that I had to cut down so they could be on circle bases. I think this is a Tom Mason sculpt. These all three are from Reaper Miniatures out of Texas. But I think this is a Tom Mason sculpt, and I know Tom personally. He's a great guy. He used to work for MegaCon Games, Mercs, and Myth. And I believe this is one of his sculpts for Reaper that I really like. It's a pretty versatile sculpt. It could be a necromancer, just an evil wizard, some crazed hermit. In the Warhammer setting, the god Mor, Morr, is the god of the dead, not of death. It's not like he revels in death, but he's of the dead, and he's against necromancers because you pray to Mor so you don't turn undead. But this could be also just a follower of Mor. But he's got kind of that purple tone. For whatever reason, that one competition, as you'll see in these other two miniatures, I was really into purple. And I think it's because I don't think there was a purple, or I had to mix my own purple, maybe. I can't remember. So I know you had to mix an orange. That's why this hair is standing out as orange, just because I was like, oh, I got to mix orange. Maybe they'll notice I had to mix my own colors or something like that. But this is just a bard, which is nice. And then this is I guess, kind of a cleric mini of some sort. None of these got me any awards or didn't get me to the finals with any of these miniatures. I did make it to the finals that year. I think I've made it each year I've competed at Gen Con in the speed painting for Reaper miniatures. But these were all done in 45 minutes or less. And then the wash really ties them together with my other guys. I love that sepia wash from Vallejo, and coming in the big tubs. They actually advertise it as a dip wash that you can use to dip miniatures into, but I just brush it on the sepia wash, and that's why my stuff has kind of that sepia feel, that dirtier colorings, because I'm trying to match the miniatures of old that I've done. Not all my miniatures are like that, though. They don't have the sepia wash. but all the ones that I painted for this week do, which is kind of fun. The next miniatures I want to show you are this dozen cultists. And in my Shadow Dark world for Warhammer, these are Nurgle cultists. If you're familiar with the ruinous powers of Warhammer, the Chaos gods. And so Nurgle is the god of, pestilence and rot and all that goodness. And so they actually have a Games Workshop contrast paint like for Nurgle's colors, like it's this greenish yellow, and that's what I used on these guys. But then I put the sepia wash over them, and it kind of washed it out a little too much, that color. But each one of these has a little bit of a dash of purple somewhere on them, like this guy has purple pants, and the rest is that Nurgle color. And you'll notice, I think they came out appropriately dirty for Nurgle cultists. So those worked out really, really well. Only a couple have a little bit of flesh that you can see on the face. And that's a trick, when you're painting miniatures quick, the less flesh you have, the quicker they tend to go. So that's a little tip for you if you want to paint minis, find them that are super quick. That's why Space Marines are such a good entrance miniature for people, because they don't, unless you're looking at the leaders that for some reason don't wear helmets, but all the helmeted guys don't have any flesh that you have to paint, so you can get after it relatively quickly. These last miniatures that I want to show you are from Cybor out of Poland, and they're resin sculpts. Oh, except for this one here, real quick. This is a Reaper miniature. And the cool thing about him is I did the Zenithal Prime, black all around, white from the top. And for his cloak and part of his clothing, I just left it that way before I did the wash. And this is just what white looks like underneath that sepia wash. So that's kind of cool. Just a little thief, a little rogue figure, if you will. Nice to put out on the table for you. And then these three are from Cybor. So I've got my favorite one is this guy. He's like, I think he's called a Slayer from Cybor's catalog, but I'm going to use him as a pit fighter class for Shadow Dark. And pit fighters can wear just a little bit of armor, and it's kind of funny. He's got just like armor hanging off his belt, but no armor on top. So we'll see how that works out for him. But it's a really cool sculpt. I just love that huge chopper that he has. Big old chopper. And then you always can't go wrong with more blacksmiths. So I have, a couple dwarf blacksmiths, which you want, and then this is a human blacksmith. And what I'm thinking for the Shadow Dark campaign is I'm going to ask my players to all be humans. I think in the Warhammer world that makes a lot of sense. You could be dwarves, you could be elves, other things, but I think humans is the way to go for kind of a gritty campaign that I want to at least try. Might branch off once we start, but this is a knight of some sort, which I made him fast and dirty. His knight skirt thing here he's wearing, this was actually a really vibrant blue before the sepia wash, and then it turned it green, which I like this color. It turned out fine, but it was just kind of cool. And then I like how Cybor puts on these purity seals on stuff too for some of its humans, which is just kind of fun. I can make this guy have a shield with a bonus for protection or something like that because it's got those purity seals and whatnot, but it's a good time. So that's what I was able to do this week, the 57 miniatures. I'm glad you stopped by. Hopefully I'll keep this hashtag hobby streak going. The plan is to keep going. I'm having a lot of fun. I've been painting on and off for the last year and a half or 2 years an Empire army for the old world. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll notice some pictures of some Empire halberdiers that I've been painting up. and I'm working on those. You might see those next week. Hopefully, I'll get those finished, and that can be part of the fun. Those are on square bases, right? Because it's a rank and flank game. So I have those on square bases, ranking up in movement trays. So that'll be fun to see. But for all my D&D stuff, I like to have it on circle bases. I like the consistency of just everything being on a circle, which is kind of fun. And, I don't like those integral bases because you got to cut them off and put them on the circle. But I think it's worth the effort because, like, this had a big old integral base, and I was able to cut it off and just get this down on a circle base. So that worked out really well, and I like how the feet go pretty flush to the base, just like the minis that don't come with bases. So that's the hashtag Hobby Streak Challenge for this week. Hopefully you're getting after the hobby as well. That's why I make these videos, not just to show off what I've done. Hopefully just it's to give some inspiration for you to get after your hobby. You know, I'm not like a award-winning painter or anything like that. Far from it. I was taking some classes though at Origins, which was a lot of fun. I've taken classes at Gen Con too. And I'm trying to develop the skill set, but really it's just all about practice. So painting 57 miniatures in a week goes a long way to that muscle memory being developed, to getting an eye for where the brush needs to go. And I love the cheating with the washes and whatnot. So don't let anybody shame your miniatures. They are done, they are beautiful. Because remember, we've heard that before. Done is beautiful. And I'm just so happy that you're here. So thank you for stopping by. Try to do your own little bit of work in the hobby this week and have a good old time. Go get after that hobby.